All right. So let's start with. So food manufacturer is starting a range of crunchy breakfast cereals. Okay, let's use some pictures, right? Let's get some pictures going, and maybe it'll make sense, when we draw pictures. So we've got some crunchy breakfast cereal. All right, so let's draw a breakfast cereal box over here. Okay, and you can see that's the breakfast cereal there. It's got the word cereal on it, and it's called Wheaty Bits. So let's write it at the top there. So Wheaty Bits. A food manufacturer, a company that manufactures food, is starting a range of crunchy breakfast cereal called Wheaty Bits. Okay, so it's new and needs the information on the side of the packet checked and completed. All right, so on the side of the packet, it'll probably be a rectangle, and if we have to expand it, it's going to have certain things in it, right? There's going to be details on energy, calories, etc. on the side of the packet from the side here, right? And that is basically all information that we most likely have over here. So on here we'll have energy, protein, fat, carbohydrates, calories, etc., etc. And they got 30 grams serving, and they got 100 grams serving here, and they got percentage of recommended daily intake for each of the 30 gram serving. So this is talking to this particular column. Okay. All right. Let's move on to. So a food manufacturer is starting a range of crunchy breakfast cereal called Wheaty Bits. That's understandable, and needs the information on the side of the packet checked and completed. So our job is to check and check if it can be completed, which means we have certain spaces over here, wherever the dots are, that we need to complete somehow. It says a packet of Wheaty Bits will weigh 450 grams. Okay, so let's write that number down. Okay, so it's going to weigh 450 grams, and that's the weight. And it will have an average of 180 Wheaty Bits in there. So in here, you'll have Wheaty Bits, okay? And you'll have a total of 180 of those Wheaty Bits in one bag. Okay. Looking at the information, I can see that from a 30 gram serving, you're going to get 452 kilojoules, 507, 1507, 1507 kilojoules. And I think that's supposed to be bit Z. It's supposed to be a Z here, because it's not bit X, it's bit Z. Bits, B-I-T-Z, bits. All right, 5.2% is the recommended daily intake for each. Oh, what does that mean? Percentage recommended daily intake for each 30 gram serving. So basically, as human beings, we need energy. So as a human being, we need a certain amount of energy, which is 100%, right? If we have a bowl of 30 grams, of that 100%, we're only going to get 5.2% from this bowl. And that's what that's saying. That's saying that you will get 5.2% of your daily required energy from a 30 gram serving of this bowl. Obviously, 100 grams will change accordingly. And then it has kilocalories. All right, kilocalories. Kilo is normally 1,000. All right, and then kilocalories. Now we don't really have any kilocalories over here, but we got to figure out, well, how do we even get kilocalories at all, right? Are we going to multiply it by something? So it says it will have on average 180. Okay, 180. Oh yeah, and there's also a space here at the top. Let's go to this first space at the top here. Now, where it says equals how many bits, that's what we want to find out. We're saying that for 450 grams is 180 bits. Let's write that down. So 450 grams is 180 bits pieces, right? Each of those pieces. I want to make 30 grams and 100 grams. So let's reduce this size down to, let's say, 10 grams by dividing by 45. And let's divide this side also by 45. And 180 divided by 45. 45 plus 45 is 90. 90 plus 90 is 180. So this is 4 bits. So for every 4 bits, you're going to get 10 grams. And so likewise, we now want 30 grams. So we multiply it by 3. And we multiply this by 3. And then that comes to 12 pieces, right? 12 pieces, 12 bits. So that means we would say 30 grams would be, if you grab 12 pieces, that's the percentage of energy you're going to get from there. Okay. If you want 100 though, if you're going to go 100, then you have to multiply this by 10 to get 100 grams. And then multiply this by 10 as well to get 100 grams. And so that'll come to 40 bits pieces, right? So we know that that's going to be 40. If you grab 40, then that's going to be the increase in the amount of energy, calories, etc. All right, kilojoules. All right. So how do we calculate calories is the question here. Okay. Because we haven't read the entire question yet, we had to continue after all of this table. It says here 1 kilocalorie is 4.18 kilojoules. Now, what is kilojoules? Kilojoules is kJ, right? So that's energy. And where's energy? Energy is over here. And they're saying that 452 kilojoules, all right, so 452 kilojoules is going to be for 30 gram serving. So how many calories will that be? We will divide it by 4.18. So 452 divided by 4.18 is what we need to put on a calculator. We take 450 divided by 4.18, and that comes to 108 kilocalories. All right. Kilocalories, right? Because it's 180,000, but that's going to be this amount over here, so 108. Then we do the same thing with the other one. We take 1507, and we divide it by 4.18, and it comes to 361 kilocalories. And so we put 361 kilocalories there. And we're now done with the first part there, over there. Now we can move down. As we move down, we can see carbohydrates is what we need here. Do we have information on carbohydrates? As we continue reading the question here, it says here, the recommended daily intake of carbohydrates is there, right? 310 grams. And we are told that 5.8% will be contributed to that amount, right? So we're now going to take the 500 and so 310 basically. We're saying that 5.8% applies to 30 grams. Okay. So let's have a look. If we have to calculate 5.8% of that amount, that is what we want. Okay, so let's do that over here. So if I take 5.8% of 310, it's the same as saying 5.8 divided by 100 times 310. That number comes to 18 grams. And so this is going to be 18 grams, which I should have put there. Okay, we're just going to make it darker. So that's 18 grams carbohydrates for 30 grams serving. Now we can even calculate using proportion here. Let's say we use proportion as a means to calculate this one. We know that 18 grams is for 80 grams of carbs. I'm going to write your carbs is for 30 grams of serving. And so I'm going to divide both sides by 10. And so therefore I'm going to have 1.8 gram for every of carbs for every 10 grams served. Carbs and serving. All right, that's carbs and serving. And I want 100 grams. So if I change this number on this side into 100, I multiply it by 10. So I would also need to multiply this by 10, which means 18 grams using proportion would be giving me 100 grams. But does that even make sense? It doesn't make sense. It's 18 grams. It's going to be the total. But 18 grams is for 30. Let's double check this again. So 30, 30 I have to divide by 3. Right. I divide by 3 to get to 10. 18 I had to divide by 3, and that's the problem, yeah. Okay, so that's going to be 6. So that's supposed to be 6 grams. Because 6 times 3 is 18, and that makes more sense. And that's how this becomes 60 grams. And so this will be 60 grams over here. All right, using proportion. So the 5.8% got me the 18 grams. And now we're done with those two parts over there. Looking at dietary fiber. All right, dietary fiber, it says 3.5 grams and 11.7 grams. They want us to calculate the percentage of dietary fiber. The first thing we need to do is we need to know what is the total dietary fiber to calculate a percentage of it. Now they're saying dietary fibers make up 30 grams. So dietary fibers is 30 grams. So that means 3.5 grams when it comes to dietary fiber. 3.5 grams divided by 30 multiplied by 100 comes to 11.7%. So this number here should be 11.7%. And that's how much fiber we're looking at there. The next thing is sodium. So we told sodium over here looks like that. And so sodium is given as 2,300 milligrams. 55 milligrams. Because remember, this whole column is only related to this. So when we're calculating any percentages, they will only come from this number and not the 11.7. And over here, that'll come from the 55. So 55, we have to divide by 2,300 and then multiply that by 100. And that comes to 2.4%. And so this number here is 2.4% for that. All right, and that's the first part that we asked to calculate for that. Okay. Now it says consider the following advertising on the packet. It says Wheatie Bix has 17% less sugar than its competitors. Okay. Well, sugar is 0.7% in this case, we can see. And Wheatie Bix has 2 grams. 17% less means that it has 83% sugar. Because if you take 100 minus 17%, it's going to equal 83%. So 83% of the sugars of competitors comes to 2. So we're saying that 2 grams. All right. So where are we getting this information from? So the first thing is, yeah. So the competitors have 2 divided by the percentage of 83 over 100, which is equal to 2.41 grams. So Wheatie Bix has 2 grams, which is 17% less. Wheatie Bix has 17% less sugar than its competitors. What amount of sugar per 100 gram must the competitors have for this to be true? All right, and that's the point now where we want to try and figure out how would we answer this question at this point. All right, so Wheatie grams has 2 grams. I just found it. You can see there's it over there. 2 grams, all right, per 100 gram. Okay, because they're talking about per 100 gram here. It says what amount of sugar per 100 gram, and there we go, per 100 gram and sugar. So let's write that down. So we know that definitely 2 gram, 2 is the number we're looking for. So therefore we know that Wheatie Bix has 2 grams, all right, 2 grams of sugars per 100 grams. All right, and 17% less means 83%. 17% less means that we have 83% sugar of competitors. Okay, so what amount of sugar must the competitors have for this to be true? If Wheatie Bix has 17% less, so at 2 grams, it's 17% less, right? We want to calculate what the amount is. So if I have to put this into maybe some kind of table, a table of values, 2 grams represents 17%, right? 83% must be what amount? Now, to go from there to there, we got to take 17 and divide it by 2. And 17 divided by 2 is going to be 8.5. 8.5 grams. And so, using that same idea, all right, we would multiply this by 8.5. So we would divide this by 8.5 to go back there. Because if I divide both of them by 8.5, it'll take me to 2 over there. So what is 83% divided by 8.5 is the question, right? So we put that on a calculator. Let's grab a calculator and we put 83 divided by 8.5 equals 9.76. 9.76, right? Okay, so that would mean that 9.76 grams is actually what the competitor's amount of sugar should be. But Wheatie Bix has 17 less than its competitors. So is 2 grams 17? The question we have to ask is 2 grams 17% less than 9.76 grams? And if we question that, that looks quite a big amount. It doesn't look like 17%. It looks like much more than 17%. So 17% less means that we have to add 17% on top of it. So this answer here, this calculation is actually not going to work. All right, so let's relook at this again. So that method is not going to work because that's going to actually give me an amount if it was 83%. All right, let's think again. If you look at the concept of the multiplier, if you want to increase an amount by 17%, you have to multiply it by 1.17. That would increase an amount by 17%. So if I take 2 and I multiply it by 1.17, that would be a 17% increase and not the proportion method. All right. So let's go back in here and then put it on the calculator and go 2 multiplied by 1.17, and that comes to 2.34. 2.34 grams. That is 17% more than that. So Wheatie Bix is 17% less sugar than its competitors. The competitors will have 2.34 grams. Because if you reduce it by 17%, it should go backwards. Now, question, is that correct as well? And that's another thing. Because 17% means that 83% of a number, 83% of some competitor is equal to 2. So then, on another train of thought, if you divide 2 divided by 83%, then that's going to be the amount, and that comes to 2.41 grams. So which of these will be true? Do we use 1.17, or do we use the process of discount? This is like discounting an amount and removing 17% from it. Let's read the question and make sure. Wheatie Bix has 17% less sugar than its competitors. So that's 100 minus 17%, which is equal to 83%. All right. What amount of sugar per 100 gram must the competitors have for this to be true? So the question is 2.41 17% more or 2.34 17% more? All right. And the answer is the 2.34 is wrong. And the correct answer should be 2.41. All right. Because Wheatie Bits has 17% less, it has to be 17% less than 2.41. Because if you take 17% off the 2.34, it's not going to work. Yeah. So we're not actually using percentage increase or decrease. We're actually using the method of discounting an amount by multiplying it by percentage for that one there. The last part now says a serving with low-fat milk provides a fifth of the recommended daily intake of calcium. There's a number in there which is 1/5, a fifth. A serving of low-fat milk provides 1/5 of the recommended daily intake of calcium. What size serving of milk does this need? What size serving of milk does this need? All right, where do we get this information from and how would we solve this? So if I look at the question paper, I can see over here it says low-fat milk has 1,200 grams, and that's the information that we need. And we're saying 1/5 of that. Okay, so I put this answer in a block.
Isn't that 1,200 times 1/5? Give me the answer.
So we're taking 1,200 times 1/5. And the 1,200 times 1/5, what will that be?
It will be 240.
Comes to 240. 240. 240 milligrams.
Yeah.
All right. 240 milligrams. A serving with low-fat milk provides a fifth of the recommended daily intake of calcium. Now it says here low-fat milk has 1,200 milligrams of calcium. What we have actually found now is we found a fifth of the calcium, right? But it says what size serving of milk does this need? So we're technically saying 240 milligrams. How many milligrams of calcium come from this? Now, low-fat milk has 1,200 grams milligram per liter, but it says here calcium. Another thing they looked up here, we got here is calcium. Now, where do you see calcium in your table? There's it over there. 23 grams of calcium. For every 30 gram serving. And so 23 gram comes from this particular 30 gram serving of Wheatie Bits. So the next question is, how many milligrams comes from the milk? Okay, so where do we get that information from? So we also need to get how much of that comes from milk. 1,200 milligrams per liter, so we need 237. Where would we get 237 from? So because a serving, remember, is 30 grams. So a serving is 30 grams. That's over here. Provides 1/5 of the recommended daily intake. So 23 grams is 1/5 of the daily requirement. Daily intake of calcium. So it says, what size serving of milk does this need? Serving. So reading the question a few times, you can see a serving with low-fat milk provides 1/5 of the recommended daily intake. Okay, good to know. Now it says, what size serving of milk does this need? What size serving of milk does this need? Low-fat milk has 1,200 milligrams of calcium. A serving is 23 grams. So do we want to convert 1,200? We want to reduce 1,200 to 23 grams. Is that the objective? And if we do that, what size of milk would we have to reduce? So we got a liter, which is 1,000 milliliters, would have to reduce by that same amount, maybe. So it's definitely a portion of the milk. So if you got a liter of milk, right? If you got a liter of milk, let me draw it in blue here, light blue. we're saying that 1 liter of milk is 1,200 milligrams in total. Okay, low-fat milk has that. The calcium that is inside the wheaty bits is 23 milligrams, right? Which is like tiny, just like that much there, if it was part of milk. But it says what size of serving of milk does it need, and in which case a serving with low-fat milk provides 1/5 of the recommendation. So the answer that we have here looks like this. We're saying that they've taken 237, they've divided it by 1,200. They've taken this 240 milligrams and they've divided it by 1,200 and they multiplied it by 1 liter. And they're saying that a serving is about 200 milliliters of milk. 200 milliliters of milk will get you a serving. Okay. And if I have to maybe even use this part over here, let me just, so we got 1,200 milligrams of calcium in 1,000 liters. 1,000 milliliters, which is equal to 1 liter. And then you have 23 divided by 1,200 times 1,000. Let's go. 23 divided by 1,200 multiplied by 1,000 equals 19.16 milliliters. So that's what I think it does say that, but 19.16 milliliters is not the answer they have. A serving with low-fat milk provides 1/5 of the recommended daily intake of calcium. What size serving of milk does this need? I've got 19.16 milliliters. So 19.16 milliliters will provide 23 grams, which is 1.8%. Oh, by the way, this is 1.8% of the daily intake. And what is 1/5? 1/5 is actually 20%. And this is 1.8%. So if we have to compare these two, 1.8% and 20%, and put that rather in a table, I've got 1.8%, and I want to make it into 20%. Now 1.8% is 23 milligrams. Then I have to divide and then multiply this. So 20 divided by 1.8. Let's try this. 20 divided by 1.8 multiplied by 23 grams comes to 255 milligrams. So 20% represents 255 milligrams. $255 divided by 1 liter, which is 1,000, and multiply that. Well, 255 divided by 1,200 times 1 liter. And that's what we're looking for. So we're going to take that 255.555 divided by 1,200. Okay, divided by 1,200. And then multiply that by 1,000. And that'll come to 212.96. 212.96 milliliters. And that makes the most sense because now what we did is instead of calculating the other amount, we're looking at specifically this percentage is your percentage recommended daily intake. This is what it says low-fat milk is providing. So what size of milk does this need for that amount? It would be about 212 for that there. Okay. Tricky question. The answer they have is 200 milliliters of milk, and they've gotten to 237 divided by 1,200. But we'll leave it there